March 17, 1943, Berlin. A thick folder hit Admiral Wilhelm Canaris's desk hard enough to slosh coffee across documents that could have gotten every man in the room executed. As chief of the Abwehr, he had seen strange intelligence before. Invented invasion plans, fake troop strengths, Allied deception operations. But never anything like this. Major Friedrich Wilhelm Heinz stood stiff as iron, waiting for his reaction. The report stated that the Ford Willow Run plant in the United States, a single factory, was producing one B-24 Liberator bomber every hour. Canaris whispered the only word that came to his mind. Impossible! Everything the Nazi leadership believed about the United States said this could not be true. Hitler considered Americans soft. Göring had insisted democracy made production sluggish. Goebbels had mocked American industry as Jewish chaos. Yet the intelligence was overwhelming. Spanish diplomats, Swedish engineers, Mexican industrialists, Japanese envoys, German agents in Argentina, even intercepted letters from American workers. Every source said the same thing. Willow Run was producing more heavy bombers than all of Germany's factories combined. Heinz had triple-checked the numbers. And triple-checked again. The Abwehr chief stared out the window at the Landwehr Canal, a place where political bodies had been dumped in more violent years. A fitting view for what he now held, the death certificate of Nazi Germany's war effort. If true, this single factory meant Germany had already lost the war, and simply didn't know it yet. But Canaris also knew the truth. Presenting these numbers to Hitler or Göring was more dangerous than Allied bullets. Still, the intelligence came from 17 independent channels. Too many to be coincidence, too many to be deception. He ordered deeper verification. He demanded photographic evidence, shipping records, labor statistics. And that is exactly where everything unraveled. Because when the Abwehr delivered the truth, Germany's leadership refused to hear it. They didn't just doubt the intelligence. They destroyed careers. They threatened execution for defeatist calculations. They treated mathematics itself as treason. And in the silence created by fear, the Third Reich sealed its own fate. The intelligence wave didn't come from one spy, it came from everywhere. In Mexico City, German agents overheard an American oil executive brag about Willow Run's scale over drinks. In Spain, Charles Sorensen, Ford's own production genius, spoke proudly to a Spanish military attaché. In Sweden, engineers reported machine tool orders that could only support unimaginable aircraft output. In Tokyo, Japanese intelligence cabled back verification that stunned even Berlin. In Argentina, German businessmen sent coded messages describing rail shipments and worker numbers they had no reason to invent. It was all consistent. It was all mathematically sound. It was all terrifying. Nicholas Ritter, head of Luftwaffe Air Intelligence, spent 3 weeks reviewing everything. A pilot, an engineer, and unusually for a German officer, someone who had lived in America, Ritter understood the US in ways most Nazis didn't. His conclusion was devastating. If these figures are accurate, Germany cannot win. The outcome becomes arithmetic, not strategy. But when Canaris presented this conclusion to the Nazi hierarchy, denial hit like a wall. Göring laughed in his face. Hitler waved the papers away as nonsense written by Jews in Detroit. Goebbels scoffed that Americans were incapable of complex machinery. Even when confronted with facts, aluminum shipments, labor counts, transport logs, Nazi leadership refused to accept them. To admit the numbers meant admitting democracy was efficient, women and minorities were capable, and the German master race had been outproduced by the very people they dismissed. It meant their worldview was a lie, and so they chose ideology over truth. But the spies kept sending intel, and the Allies kept building planes. And by mid-1943, the factory that the Nazis insisted didn't exist was rolling out bombers in a rhythm the Luftwaffe could not comprehend, let alone stop. By April 1943, Canaris had enough proof to challenge a god. He carried aerial photographs, rail manifests, shipping invoices, factory floor sketches, even secretly acquired film footage. No sane commander could ignore it. But Hitler wasn't sane. The Abwehr chief first confronted Göring at Karen Hall, a palace of marble, furs, and hunting trophies, exactly the wrong environment to deliver bad news. Göring snatched the Willow Run photos, let them hang from his hand, then barked. "These are toys. The Americans build stage scenery, not aircraft." When told about the plant's aluminum consumption, more than all of Germany produced, Göring scoffed again. "If they had such capacity, we would see thousands of bombers. Do you see them? Therefore they do not exist." It was delusion disguised as confidence. A week later, Canaris was ordered to the Wolfschanz to brief Hitler himself. The room was cold, the air metallic, and the Führer was in a foul mood. Canaris laid out the data. The production rates. The factory size. The workforce composition. Hitler listened for less than 2 minutes. A bomber is not a refrigerator. Democracy cannot build miracles. He waved the entire report aside. He rejected not only intelligence, but mathematics, engineering, demographics, and industrial physics. In that single moment, the fate of the Reich shifted. Germany no longer operated on reality. It operated on belief. And belief cannot stop 1,000 bombers. Still, Canaris tried one last time. He brought a secret film reel shot inside Willow Run. A mile-long assembly line. Dozens of planes in every stage of completion. Workers moving in precise rhythm. A visible clock proving the rate of production. Deputy Hans Oster watched it in stunned silence. "My God, it's true." Canaris burned the film immediately. Showing Hitler the truth would only get them both killed. Once 1944 began, Germany no longer had to estimate American production. They could see it in the sky. Operation Argument, Big Week, February 1944. Over 1,000 American heavy bombers thundered toward German aircraft factories. In 6 days, the Allies dropped more explosives than the entire London Blitz. Adolf Galland, the Luftwaffe's top fighter ace, reported to Göring, "I counted 800 bombers in one formation alone. These planes are real, Herr Reichsmarschall." And still Göring refused to accept what he saw. June 6, 1944, D-Day. Allied skies swarmed with 11,000 aircraft. The Luftwaffe could barely muster 300. American fighters controlled the air. American bombers crushed defenses. American transport planes delivered paratroopers like a waterfall. Willow Run, the factory the Nazis insisted couldn't possibly exist, was now raining steel onto Europe. German generals begged Berlin to accept the intelligence retroactively. But the denial was too deep. It wasn't about numbers anymore. It was about identity, ideology, and pride kills. The numbers don't lie. By mid-1944, the U.S. was producing 650 B-24s a month. Willow Run alone employed 42,000 workers. American women, minorities, and teenagers were hitting production quotas Nazi leadership said were impossible. The Reich could not produce enough fighters to stop the raids. Could not fuel the aircraft they had. Could not protect the factories still running. Reality had arrived, and it came with 4 engines and a bomb load. With every bombardment, every destroyed factory, every smoking rail yard, it became painfully clear. The Abwehr had been right. And that was the most dangerous truth in Nazi Germany. Hitler believed betrayal explained everything. Not numbers. Not industrial capacity. Not American innovation. Someone must have been sabotaging the truth. So he purged the intelligence services. The Abwehr's execution list. Admiral Wilhelm Canaris, hanged at Flossenburg, April 1945. Hans Oster, hanged the same day. Colonel von Wren, executed for defeatism. Dozens of analysts, imprisoned, tortured, disappeared. Their crime? Accurately reporting that Germany could not win a production war against the United States. Albert Speer, the only Nazi leader who understood economics, tried to warn Hitler quietly. He later admitted, "To accept Willow Run was to accept that our ideology was false. So we denied mathematics." By late 1944, the truth was unavoidable. American industry dwarfed the Axis. U.S. factories ran 3 shifts. Women and minorities held skilled jobs. Ford, Boeing, and Consolidated produced aircraft faster than Germany could destroy them. The Luftwaffe was collapsing. Fuel was gone. Pilots inexperienced. Factories in ruins. But instead of adapting, the Reich sank deeper into fantasy, wonder weapons, secret projects, delusional strategies. All because it refused to believe that a diverse, democratic workforce could beat the master race. By 1945, the full scale of American production became public knowledge. The numbers were staggering. 18,188 B-24 Liberators built. 8,685 from Willow Run alone. 33,000 plus American aircraft produced in World War II. The U.S. outproduced Germany in aircraft 3-1. A post-war German intelligence memo, never delivered because Berlin fell first, said, "We did not lose from lack of intelligence. We lost from lack of belief." Historians now consider the Willow Run intelligence failure one of the most costly in history. Germany collected accurate data. Its analysts understood the math. Its spies risked their lives for truth. But leadership refused to acknowledge it. Because the truth contradicted Nazi racial doctrine. The truth proved democracy was efficient. The truth proved women and minorities could outperform Aryan superiority. The truth proved the war was unwinnable. So they rejected the truth and were destroyed by it. The final irony. In 1985, Rosie the Riveter worker Will Monroe met a former Luftwaffe pilot at Willow Run's museum. He asked, "How did you build so many aircraft so quickly?" She smiled. "We just showed up every day and did our jobs." Democracy's secret weapon wasn't ideology. It was ordinary people, free, motivated, determined, doing extraordinary things. And that, more than anything else, doomed the Third Reich.